If you go Saturday with them,
You're tough.
you gotta go on the sideline with them.
Saturday on the sideline?
Sideline, yes.
Grooms is screw on Saturday.
He's not well.
They're always wearing shorts.
All right, fire away. What do we got? What are you guys thinking? Ladies, what do we got?
Brian, when Julian Love entered the starting lineup against Syracuse, and I know you moved over to that side of the ball, were you a proponent of that, or was there a coach on the defensive side that said, hey, this is a guy we got to get on the field?
My involvement largely was to, develop a philosophy that we wanted to build on, and then, get a lot of the young personnel on the field. So, but I don't think that I was met with much opposition at that time. Yeah, everybody was open to ideas. And I just felt like Julian was very bright, picked things up quickly, and felt like I wanted to see if he was somebody that, could be somebody that played nickel and did some other things for us. And it turned out that that was the case.
Will Mark Harrell get a second start this week?
Yeah, I think it's probably going that direction. Had a good week. Colin did too. I think both of them will play again, but it's likely that Mark would start.
What are your thoughts on the strength of schedule this season and how maybe it's prepared you for this final stretch?
Yeah, it's a tough schedule for us this year. Obviously, started off, on the road, and clearly, even though Michigan State's not having the kind of year that many expected, it's still a tough game for you early on. Duke has been, a really good football team off and on. They probably are similar to us in a sense that they're a better team than their record indicates. So, early as we were trying to find ourselves and gain confidence, we had some tough games and add Stanford to it. Obviously, certainly, I think, we played a pretty competitive schedule. We didn't, I think the non-power 5 game Nevada was the only one. So certainly, you go into the bye and, I know we've lost a couple of games, but, boy, I mean, if you look at the way we've played since the bye, I think I'm proud of the way our kids have competed, and I think a lot of the early season scheduling definitely helped us.
So you're saying that did help you heading into these final 2?
Well, I mean, losing never is where you want to be relative to saying, boy, all that losing helped us. But all that experience against good football teams that, play in a Power 5 conference are going to benefit you even if you didn't have the kind of success that we were hoping for. So being where we are right now, all of those things allowed us to get this football team to grow. The Syracuse game, playing a passing team like that, helped us to get those young players some confidence as well.
Some injury housekeeping.
Yeah.
It's probably too early to ask about Sean Crawford, but what is your timetable for him to be moving around in the spring?
Yeah, we expect him to be moving and probably confident to that, he's even the way he came back from his ACL, pretty good healer. Hopefully that continues to be the case, that in the spring that he would be moving around in spring ball, yes.
And with these young guys, he actually has time where he doesn't have to be 100% prepared for the season.
Yeah, we got a pretty good feeling about Sean in terms of what he's capable of doing, and now add him to the mix. It's the best core group that we've had since I've been here coming back.
On that note, Nick Watkins,
Yes.
ready for spring ball?
Yes, he'll be ready for spring ball, and they're the guy that, is excited and anxious to get back out there as well.
And I keep forgetting to ask you, Ashton White, during the early parts of the season was playing a lot on special teams, looked like he was having an impact. Is he injured? Is that what took him off?
Yes, he's back. He's doing well now. He's trying to get himself back. You lose a couple of steps to some of these younger guys we're playing, and it's a pretty competitive situation.
How tough is it for you guys to practice today in 73 degrees, and then Saturday it's going to be 35 and potentially snowing?
Yeah. These guys they're football players. They're mentally tough enough to handle it. I know you guys will be whining the whole time about it, but I think you're inside, aren't you? Or are you
On the field.
You're on the field? Well, when you get to be big shots like some of these guys in here, you'll get to go inside. But they're seasoned in weather conditions. I think there's probably only one or two players that, haven't played in these kinds of conditions. KJ was here in the spring. He got his taste of, early morning workouts when it was 25 degrees, so he knows what it's like. So I think our guys will be fine.
Brian, with McGlinchey, he's had quite a few where he's jumped and so forth.
Yeah.
What can you connect that to?
I just, Mike is a highly strung guy. I mean, it's his personality, and he knows it. I mean, he just has to relax, and be more comfortable in those, pressure situations, and he's growing into that. But clearly, he sees that as an area that he has to get better at and work at. He just has to, that's probably something that we'll work on with him, in terms of mental training, more so than the physical training. And, he knows that that's something that he has to get better at, and readily admits that that's an area that, one of the reasons why he's coming back is, he's got some things to work on. And if that's the worst thing that he's got to work on, I'm feeling pretty good about that he'll be able to conquer that.
And speaking of coming back and working on things, then what are some of the things, where do you think his growth potential is as a left tackle?
Well, I think, consistency probably for Mike. He looks to really have gained more comfort level being on the left side. It was a transition for him. He was much more comfortable on the right side. There's no question about that. I think he feels more comfortable there. So I think just settling into that position in year two at the left side and being much more comfortable on his sets and just being more consistent is what we'll see from him.
Any news on, or update on Hunter and Cage from Tuesday?
Hunter is still improving. I think, we'll see where he looks like. We'll have to go through pregame with him. Cage, feeling better, but not to the level where I think he's ready to play.
Did either of them practice today?
No, neither one of them.
Okay. And Devin Butler, he's a senior, that's why I asked about him.
Yeah.
Is there any chance he will be back with you next year?
I think, I got a chance to talk to Devin's dad, and, we're, I think, at that point where, Devin's going to make a decision here pretty soon. I think he'll make it public as to what his intentions are. I don't want to, I think he's at that point where he's going to make a public, well, I don't want to say public, but I think you'll see something out there from Devin regarding what he plans to do moving forward.
Following up on your answer with, we wanted to do some different things, get some young guys on the field. Now that you're done with the triple option, what do you want to see from Dalen Hayes these last couple of regular season games?
Assignment correct. Playing the position that he's at, I think, is the perfect place for where we want him. Now it's just being comfortable at the position and being correct with his assignments and techniques. And so I think Dalen has a huge upside, but I think I've talked about this a couple times. He came in with a bit of a deficit in terms of the techniques of the position. He's got really, really good athletic ability and will impact our football team. And I think he will make a bigger impact next year. But that's what we would look for over the next couple of weeks. Technique, assignments, being correct. And in that, I think you'll see him be more productive as a player.
Right, talking to Niles and Isaac a little bit, just about leadership and next year even. you know, there weren't a ton of guys that jumped out to them in terms of who would be leading next year. And I was curious from a big picture recruiting aspect, do you evaluate leadership differently in recruiting now? Are there ways that you can recruit more leadership type personalities to your program that would help, I guess, the collective year to year?
No, I think that I don't want to say the mistake that was made, but, you know, when we lost a lot of juniors, you know, that kind of created a vacuum in a sense, and that I think what we'll do is we'll let younger players lead. If they're ready to lead, we won't hold them back from leading. And I think what I've tried to do after this year is encourage younger players that have leadership, natural leadership ability. I've spent more time allowing them and spending time with them to go ahead and lead. And I think we've got some guys that are already showing the kind of leadership capabilities, and not to give any guys the captain but, you know, Greer Martini, Drew Tranquil, you know, are guys that stand out to me right away. Niles Morgan. I mean, there's three guys right there that have done a really, really good job of leading immediately. So I think we're going to be in pretty good shape there. But I think in answering your question, I don't want to close the door for younger players to lead if they're capable of leading.
How much, I guess, effort do you put into looking at that in recruiting at all?
Oh, well, look at the list of some of the guys that we have. I mean, from really good programs, winning programs, that you know, take prominent roles. You can see that is part of what we're looking for. You can scan the list of players that have committed to us that possess some of those traits right out of the gate.
Off topic a little bit, I'm sure you're aware of what Kenny Canham had to say about his relationship with Notre Dame as a recruit. I was just wondering, what do you remember about that recruiting process, the way it ended, and him going to Virginia Tech?
You know, I do remember Coach Diaco recruiting, but I remember us filling up. I've never pulled a scholarship from any player. It's never anything that I've ever done in my career. We've always honored scholarships. I remember Torrey Hunter, you know, having a devastating injury. And so it's never something that I've done in my career. We may fill up, but we're very transparent in telling recruits that, you know, we've got 2 spots left at a particular position, and when we fill up, we fill up. And I'm certain we were transparent about whatever the process was, and I can't recall exactly.
Wouldn't you have the right to say, hey, we would like to get some more medical information? That was very late in the game. It happened in January, I think. It was the state championship game. Wouldn't you want more information at that point?
I think we would ask questions about the severity of the injury. In today's medical world, an ACL doesn't scare me. Microfracture, things of that nature, where there's a potential for, further injuries or not being able to come back for some of those things. But and each program does it differently. But again, it was a while ago. All I know is how I feel about offering scholarships, and an injury is not going to dissuade me from if we're not filled up and we've offered them. My inclination is not to pull a scholarship.
Anything else?
Good.